Alright, well, we got some nice weather today, and I'm going to try to make a quick buck. Got some front brakes to do here. Let's get this caliper off. Well, first of all, always slow the tires underneath the car in case it falls. It doesn't fall on you. That's a good thing, right? E-brakes are on. And yeah, let's get the caliper off. It's a great idea to turn the wheel to expose the hardware for you to get at. So as you can see, sometimes things break free pretty easy and you don't have to mess around, but that pin on this one is catching. And man, your regular wrenches don't like to fit in that tight space. So I got one of these. This is a really thin wrench. I think it's a bicycle tool actually, but it's got different size and it's super thin. And you can get into these spots. And hold on. It's just such a plague of modern braking systems. You know, this car doesn't have a lot of miles on it. It's under 20,000 miles, but the outboard pads are fine. This is a domestic. This isn't even a Honda. And you can see the bottom here is just full of rot and rust, and that side of the caliper has expanded and bound up this pad and cost this customer a brake job. So we'll get these off. Alright, now that we have the caliper bracket off, it is critical that we service this. We're going to check for binding pins. These are both moving, but they are tight, so we're going to work these out, get some lube in there, and we're going to knock out all these pad retainers and clean up some rust. There's a better look at the rust. There's a lot of tools you can use to clean that out, but you know, do your thing. You can use brushes. Files work just fine. Power tools. I'm going to use my little stainless steel guy on here. If it's real bad, you're going to want to take a little DA to it. Be careful not to take off too much material or your pads will rattle in here. So I'll be right back. Alright, there's how it should look. Nice sharp corners in the bottom. Man, this thing will not focus. Use the rust like a guide code if you're familiar with doing some body work. Once the steel starts showing back up, you're deep enough. Don't go too deep. And if you're going to get the shot, you got to make sure you get this down in there in this corner too, in that front face. Any of this places here where the clips retain themselves on these surfaces and in this surface here on the inside, you'll see a little witness mark where the clip goes on there. You've got to make sure all that is cleaned up, and I got to clean that spot up a little bit too, because that'll affect how the clip sits in there. Alright, so the idea here is we want to prevent this from happening again, and that's a big prevent with a question mark here, but I'm going to, you can lather this up with grease, but you're going to take up some clearances, right? I'm going to put some paint in there, and this is obviously VHT, very high temp. I'm going to lay a coat on that, try to prevent that rust from coming back. Alright, this step I don't really need to, but I just want to explain something to you guys. Sometimes these things are so tight and you can't even rotate them. And you've got to take some heat to this area, right? Be very careful, because you're creating a gun, alright? So what you're going to do, if you get to that situation where you got to heat this up to get this pin out, you need to put some weight on the end of this thing, and a big pair of vice grips do great. And trust me, I've done it accidentally when I was younger. Greg, you know, we almost killed you. I'm sorry, but anyways, I'll get these out. Well, great. These pins weren't really in bad shape. I think it was a little bit of vacuum inside there. I want to show you some special things on most pins. You'll usually have one or both pin will have this little rubber bushing on here. That bushing's critical for, man, come on, focus. Anti-vibration. So that little bushing actually takes up the play in the entire floating caliper and stops things from wiggling and rattling. A little creature comfort. So if that thing's gone and you got a rattle noise, you know why. A lot of people will just live with it, especially on an older car, but I'll get these back together. Alright, so these engineers have gone wild with the return and anti-rattle systems on this. So all of these springs help
push the pad away from the rotor when you're done braking, and it helps with taking up the tension, the clearances between the pads and the caliper bracket. So yeah, and on top of that, you know, you've got the little springs on the pads. So none of that saved this situation though, unfortunately. But we'll get these stuck back in there. There's the paint. I can't see it there. Paint's just about dry. We'll let that dry and then we'll stick this in. So these should go in that easy. All right. These aren't nails, so don't use your hammer to install them. They should sit right in there. There we go. We got the pads back in the bracket back on the knuckle. I didn't go over the rotor. If you need help getting a rotor off or understanding that, we got to start somewhere else with you. Anyways, so the new pads have the holes for the little spring guys, but it didn't come with new ones, and the other ones were so rusted it didn't come out. So I want to show you. You see how these move easily in here? Okay? This is how it's going to be when you've done it right. Okay? Put a little bit of grease down here so things slide well. Too much grease is going to invite dirt and dust and water and problems. So I didn't put too much on my pins either that they're gooping out everywhere. We put just enough. We're going to return the pistons here. Now you see these appear to be a composite piston. You'll see that a lot. So you don't want to put a pair of channel locks straight on here. You could use the proper tools, which I'm not going to. I'm going to place a pad here, and then I'm going to squeeze it with my big ass channel locks. There you go, it's back together. Something I forgot to talk to you guys about. So the original pads have two types of wear sensors. They've got this guy on this end, and then this guy here. So I don't really think this is a wear sensor as much as some type of another anti-rattle situation. That is definitely a wear sensor. The new pads don't have this guy here. So I'm installing one of these on the inboard side on the new pads. And yeah, I know it's not right, but I'm doing that because we're going to leave a little extra room here where things were binding up before, and I from experience, it's going to help in the long run. You can see the pad actually does a lot of traveling on that flat there. So yeah, it'll be good. Just a little bit of a tip to help you guys out. Here's another thing that'll catch a lot of you. Make sure to adjust these backing plates away from the rotors. You will get some noises and it'll piss you right off. Don't go too far. Sometimes you push too hard here, it'll pull this side closer. So don't go crazy. All right, I'll get the other side done in peace, and then we'll take it for a test drive. All right, we've got it all back on the ground. I'll show you what I used here. Power Stop Extreme Performance Brake Systems. Another Amazon shipment. Believe it or not, these pads and rotors were $108. I would have bought locally, Vance Auto Parts, cheapest option, $321. Yes, they're coated rotors. The pads probably would have had the hardware I was missing, but it's not really a big deal. $100 bucks. We're gonna go take it for a test drive. Make sure on your test drive, pump the brakes before you start moving, because you've got to get that caliper clamp back down. So yeah, I'll see you in a second. Yes, everything went great. Drives great. Brakes are awesome. Total cost to the customer, $258. Yeah, can't beat that. I have a lifetime labor warranty, so if I screw something up ever, I take care of that. But it's got to be my fault, not the fault of parts or anything. So if they got quoted dealership $640 to do this job. So yeah, we saved some money here. Look at the beautiful weather. Supposed to have some snow coming though. All right, I'll see you guys. This is a long video. Thanks for sticking around. Moral of the story here in the brakes. Wow, look at all those leaves. It's only 4 bolts aside, right? But there's a lot of little nuance and a lot of little things you've got to do right, or you could actually kill somebody. You know, these are brakes. They're like the most important part of your car, actually. So don't take them lightly. All right, see ya.